Moving on to page 70 is the 2018 financial profiler for the school district. This basically is a report that is generated through our audit that we have given to the state to see how financially responsible the district is. On this one, there are 5 categories that you're rated on. As you can see, we're doing very well on it. Our overall score was 3.7 out of 4.0, which puts us in financial recognition category, which is the highest on that. This is done annually. We'll continue to keep monitoring this to make sure that we try to stay in that particular category. Then you did see this previous. It was in the audit from earlier, but I wanted to go back through it as the state finally posted it.
What page was that on?
70.
Page 70.
Well, I mean, it's good to be in the top financial recognition, but our first duty is to stay within our policies, right?
Yes.
So if, for instance, the first one is fund balance to revenue ratios, if we have to spend, a little bit deficit spending over a couple of years, like the projections are going to show, it's possible
That we would
we
drop
could drop down, but we're still going to be in
Under
good financial
board policy, we still would be
Yeah,
in
okay.
in the clear with
I
the
mean, all other
percentage.
things being equal, I guess it's best to be the highest, but sometimes in managing your school district properly, you're not going to hit the highest numbers, right?
Yes, I agree with that.
Okay.
What do you have next, Scott? The contract
The
one?
the contract tool, there were 3 contracts that were up. The yearbook was approved at the last meeting, which leaves 2 contracts that are out there. The medical insurance, I have contacted all the districts within the treasurer's office, all the districts that feed into it. There were 4 that use independent brokers, and out of the 4, 3 of them used the same one, so I contacted the broker that was using that, and then also the other broker that a school district uses. The problem with this is they are independent and they're self-insured on it. They're not part of a co-op. I did contact our co-op, and they offer another cooperative within Arthur Gallagher. The issue with that one is the plan design, you have to pick from a set of plan designs. And it may or may not fit with what's in the collective bargaining to match exactly what we have with current deductibles. So I didn't have EBC, not EBC, but Arthur Gallagher give me the contact number for that.
Well, you said it may or may not. Without talking to them, I won't know if it's the may or the may not.
Gotta look into that, okay?
And the
Okay.
second thing is, doesn't our collective bargaining agreement give us some flexibility in changing
You
who
can
our
ch-
insurer is?
Yes, but not the plans.
Okay.
The negotiated deductibles, that kind of stuff,
So I mean,
has to be negotiated. So if we could show our prescriptions and our benefits.
So basically, I'm taking what our current stuff is and
Right.
comparing apples to apples.
Right.
but I mean, these brokers will do it for you. So if there's one that's a may and we're not sure, again, I think we should, just to go through the whole due diligence, is to say, here's what we're
You,
required
you need to
have
find
have
out
it
if, I
covered.
think what he's asking is because you mentioned that you need to show them our plan and see if they have any plans that fit.
Yeah.
What you stated makes it seem as if you didn't check that.
No, I understand.
Okay.
So
And then what was the third thing you did?
I also contacted all the high school districts to see where their actual premiums were,
Uh-huh.
as far as what was your HMO cost for a single versus what we currently have. Overall, depending on how you look at it, we're slightly lower than a lot of the districts. The issue that I have with this is I don't know their plan design.
Right.
So that's the big piece to
Sure.
it.
We just want to make sure as EBC has 100 and something schools.
110 districts in it.
Okay, so before we bring to the board the recommendation that we want to stay with EBC, you've done a lot of good things to do our due
Right.
diligence. Just find out about the last thing with the plan design. And I think we could say we've done our due diligence, that we're in a good cooperative. So we only need to do one other step.
Okay. I will contact them and check on plan design through the other cooperative. The
Scott,
other,
were the other schools willing to give you that information?
from our township treasurer, I got 14 out of the 16.
Oh, wow.
For the high schools that I sent to, it's like a group, the Southwest group that I'm kind of go through these meetings. I got 8 high schools to give me
Oh, wow.
their stuff. So I got a pretty good response overall with it.
Yeah, that's
And by the
that's
way,
wonderful.
We could just do a FOIA request on all of them, and they'd have to provide it to you anyway, so there's no reason not to do it, because your other alternative is send them a FOIA request, every one of them, and say, I want to know your rate, I want to know what's covered, and they have to give it to you, right?
That's true.
Okay.
Phone. Get some good stuff with the phone.
The phone is, yes, there's a lot of good things that we've done with the phone. We did bring in a consultant to look at all the different lines that we have out there. We have done some cutting of lines currently, and we've already seen the savings in our last bill, and there'll be more savings moving forward until our contract ends on it. The RFP has been written and will be going out tomorrow to 7 different firms or vendors that are out there with the phone. It's based on what our actual needs are with it. The process going through this, we're addressing E911 to make sure that we're in compliance, making sure that we have the correct number of plain old telephone lines. We're also exploring what type of backup we can have if something goes down. If our main line goes down, what is our backup with it? So that's in the RFP. Basically, I want to make sure that we address this, that we're not down ever.
So you
with our
did
current
it,
stuff.
so when this came up last time with the board, you've done some good work. You go back to your consultant. You paid an outside vendor not related to our phone system, is that correct?
Yes,
You paid him a small amount of money,
yes.
and in return, we're seeing, he was able to find how many lines roughly, or how much savings are we gonna experience?
We were being billed for, I want to say 23 POTS lines, and we were only using 7 of them.
So by cutting 16 lines, that saves a significant portion of our.
Yes, and then also we have we took out from the auto shop a line that was roughly $800 a month. That was not necessary after being able to convert to a different device, which
So the
new
consultant paid
devices.
for himself, and the district saved him money.
Yes,
Sounds good.
You made good progress since the last time you reported.
so
It's good stuff.
yes, it is, and we're, like I said, we're gonna see how everything comes in with the RFP process and see where they're at.
So probably the one last question that anybody watching on TV would ask you is, we still seem to have phone problems. Is that anything that's in our control, or is that AT&T and the outside service that's being provided?
It's AT&T and the copper wires that we have currently.
And what are we doing to address that, or what is AT&T doing to address that?
Currently, right now, AT&T really doesn't want to service the copper wires. They will service it if we're going down, but in the meantime, we're looking to see what we can get over fiber.
Is this
which
the
is a
same
more-
AT&T that refuses to pay on our cell tower because we had them down for a little bit?
No, AT&T was where we were overpaying us on the cell tower.
But who's not paying us right now?
I think everybody's paying.
Everybody's paying.
We had a while where.
There was an overpayment by AT&T.
The one that didn't pay us is the one that was on the smokestack. that we
Right,
had.
when we moved
I
that.
forget which, was that Sprint?
SBC, but I don't even think they're in business anymore.
That's AT&T.
Yeah.
SBC is AT&T.
They're paying us. We're paying them back. They
Yeah.
overpaid us.
Well, maybe we shouldn't
So when
pay
you
them
say-
back with the fact that they,
When you say there's copper wires, I'm sure that's a different division, or cellular division. Well, I don't want to get into that, but the copper wires, that's our infrastructure that's causing this problem? Or it's their infrastructure in the box?
It's their infrastructure coming in from their line coming into
So
our
if they don't
school.
want to service it, maybe we should make a demand then that they replace it. Can we talk to them about that?
Okay.
Because if they have an issue with the copper wires and it's their infrastructure, why are they telling us it's our problem?
Okay, I will look into it. And,
Unless we're missing something. Just check into that if you can make a note.
okay.
so this potentially could be a safety issue that AT&T doesn't want to address.
It could potentially, yes, because then we would be out of a actual line.
So like when we got back from break, the phones were down.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with our voice over IP system that we have in the
It's
building and that
nothing
this RFP
internally.
is for.
It's nothing internally. It was from the outside.
Let's file a complaint with the Illinois Commerce Commission.
So,
I know how to draft them if you need help. I mean, seriously, they have a duty to provide the service to us. If they're not doing it, we should tell them that. We're just gonna file a complaint with the Illinois Commerce Commission.
I would say we've had at least 5 occurrences this year where our phones have been down, correct?
yes.
So why don't we look into the copper thing, see if we can get to an executive. If not, then maybe we need to draft a letter from our legal office.
Okay.
Okay?
Can you explain one more thing in our RFP, which all this sounds good, but is it comprehensive? Is it gonna address our internet and our cell phone costs too? Can we do, I mean, there's providers that provide all of that, right?
Yes, there is.
Is it, are we looking at all of them at the same time to see if we can get a bigger bang for our buck?
The internet, we're probably looking at going through the same provider that we have currently and upping the bandwidth. We will have to do that with the additional one-to-one initiative with the last class coming on. So we will have to go from 500 to a gig.
Well, why do we have to do that with the current person?
We use 2 people, correct, Scott? We use Comcast, and then we have a backup with
Yes.
AT&T. So if one goes down, the other's here to support the bill.
Okay.
So there's some issues with, which will be addressed as we go through the budgeting cycle. We may have to upgrade the backup also to be able to function if you want to use the one-to-one devices that are out there. That's something that we're looking at. We are looking at, okay, can we kind of bridge, say, 100 gigs to the phone and then 400 to the bandwidth for our computer. So that's something that's part of this also. It's a much more involved process than I thought with just saying, here's the phone, because it does affect, if you come in over fiber, kind of bridging the amount of bandwidth that you have.
So that's all the more reason to make sure you're looking at it comprehensively, right?
And we've
Is that just an omission that you don't have it on this list here?
it's, well, normally that's through the tech department on that.
So I think
So,
an
but
easier
it's
answer, it's not part of
on
the
this.
RFP, right?
It's not part of the RFP, but it's
Okay.
being looked at.
I would,
As you get, as that expenditure becomes a bigger expense, I would suggest you take, the CFO takes role on part of that negotiation. And then look, as Mr. Walsh said, all-inclusive with the cell phone, your phone service, and the internet provider down the road to look and see if there can be a comprehensive package we'll all three put together somehow.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So-
Because I know Comcast provides phone service.
Question, Scott, what did the consultant suggest on this? I mean, he had to give us some kind of idea, right? How to combine those two.
His suggestion right now is to basically get our quotes on, get the proposals in here, running what we currently have, and then make the determination, because there is alternates in the RFP. So there's your base one, and then I have alternates with the fiber, voice over IP, with everything in it, and we still need to see where everything comes in. I don't want to stay on the copper wires if I'm going to be down five days, during the thing, because that's unacceptable for a school.
the RFP hasn't gone out yet,
It's going, no, not yet.
going out tomorrow.
Yes.
But if you wanted to slow it down a day or two and see if there's an alternate for any cellular packages or offerings, you could at least put that in there. Just a general,
Potentially.
right? If not, then it's something we look at. Right now, we do a district cell phone provider. This is Verizon.
Yes.
So the only one I'm familiar with that does a business package for the cellular is Comcast. I'm not sure about AT&T with the broadband or with their fiber. So we can look into that, right?
Yes.
It's nothing we'd have to answer tonight.
No,
Okay.
this is good though. Thanks for looking.
Thank you, yes.
So it's really involved. We'll get there.